Okay,
Okay, now we're good.
cool. I was just telling so this is my group of incubator students. It's a entrepreneurship class. This is Jessica.
Hi.
I was just telling them that I distinctly remember in marketing class, and this probably was like 2002 or 3, that you said, oh yeah, I'm going to open a salon and here's my business plan. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Here you are, very successful doing what you said you were going to do. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So what I was hoping, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, like for me, you know, like some of my favorite classes were actually with Mr. Wismer, and it's funny because he'll pop on my messenger and it says Kurt Wismer, but to me, he's always still gonna be Mr. Wismer. And so some of my favorite classes were exactly where you guys are at. So I'm excited to spend some time today doing this with you guys.
Cool, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do, how you got there?
Yeah, so I'm a hairstylist, and I have been doing hair for about almost 14 years already now. I went on to hair school right when I got out of high school, and I worked for a company for many years where it was like a salon and spa, and I loved it. It was a great experience for me. I always knew I wanted to own my own business, and I had gotten married pretty young, and we were about to have children, and I decided to go back to school for marketing because I liked it. And so when I was in high school, I was trying to decide, do I go to hair school or do I go to business marketing? Like, what should I do? And so for me, I decided to go to hair school first, knowing that I could work while I went back to school, so that I wasn't financially, it wasn't so hard to do that. So I went back to NWTC, a technical college in Green Bay, and I graduated the month that I had my first baby. But I still always knew I wanted to have a salon of my own. But before I could get to that step in this industry, you can rent your own space, which means you can own your own business as a hairstylist within the salon. And so I went and moved into doing that. I was terrified of doing that because you're going out technically on your own and being your own boss. But I knew that was the next step into the long-term process. So I rented my space for a few years, and I still had that drive to want to own my own salon at some point. And so I moved to a salon, which was Salon Elan, and rented there for about 4 years before the old owner and I had spent a lot of time talking about buying the current salon. And so the chips kind of fell into place for me. And so I ended up purchasing, it'll be 5 years this June. I have owned the Green Bay location. Today I'm in our Appleton location. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, we opened our second location, which that's where I'm at today, is in Appleton. And I love being an owner. You know, everything in life has its pros and cons, and I've learned a lot along the way about my business and about myself. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I have started my businesses, and a little story about it.
So as a small business owner, how many hours a week do you work?
I probably work behind the chair. So because I own the business, I spend a lot of my Mondays are technically off, and that just means I'm off and I'm not working behind the chair. And so I typically work, I feel like I work every day, but do I physically work? No, not every day. So I'm Tuesday through Friday behind the chair. But I don't work weekends at all. But typically, on average, I would say about 34 hours a week is what I usually work.
Oh, for you. That's way less than most entrepreneurs. So that's great for being able to find a work-life balance.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I would say that I don't really add up the hours that I will respond to stuff at home. But I can tell you, you know, owning my own business, I rely heavily on my managers. So I couldn't run this ship if I didn't have them. And I see complete value in having them. I think that there's a big struggle when you own your own business is like, oh my God, I have to work like crazy. I have to work all the time. I have to be there all the time. And I don't want to have that life. And I don't believe that you have to have that life to own your own business. I think that you can hire the right people who value your company and treat it like it's their own. And that's how I treat them. I treat them like they are an owner because they are running the ship when I'm not here.
Cool. So one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you was your use of social media and your ability to leverage that to build your business and build your brand. Can you talk a little bit about everything you do with that, how you manage that? I know you said you brought on somebody to help you with that. And I think that's sort of important for us and our students in their businesses that they're starting because they're all broke. Yeah. And we know that it's one thing that we can lean on that's free or free-ish.
Yeah, definitely. So, I have to say I was kind of a resistor on social media for quite a while because I'm not like you guys where that's what I know. Like, that's not how we were taught when I was in school. It wasn't the main source of promoting your business. So it was new to me and it's something I resisted, but I learned real fast that it is probably one of the best ways to grow your business is through social media. Look at, how many people are on their phones all the time, right? I'm sure you guys are like itching to get to a text message or a ding somewhere, right? So I get it. You're on it, it's active. And if you're not on it, it's what I tell people, even in our industry. I work with a lot of hairstylists who are older and they are resisting like I first did. And I tell them, in our industry, if you're not being seen on social media, people will not know who you are. And it is the best way to be seen, especially as a hairstylist. If you're not promoting your work and showing people what kind of work you're pumping out, they won't know your name, and they're going to see somebody else who is doing it, and they will have a higher chance because subconsciously they're seeing those pictures on social media and they're going to be like, oh, I've been seeing them over and over. I want to go check them out. Like, they got some really cool work that they're putting out, but your current stylist maybe isn't doing that. And so it's kind of not on the forefront of your mind. So social media for me has been interesting as I've grown into it. It's been this love-hate relationship for me because it takes work. And it's not something that really gets me jacked up. So I have putted along on my own, trying to get consistent. I think that is the biggest thing as a business owner, being consistent in making sure that you're posting on a regular basis so that your clients are seeing you or customers are seeing you. And so that's where I had started, was just doing it on my own and using platforms to do that. So like Planoly is a good one where that can help you for posting, so you can create a schedule out so that you are consistent with your posts. And it's called Ullmer, which is another great app that lays out your content so that you can make it look all really pretty. 2 years ago, I had posted on a group Facebook page called Gold Digger. Her name's Jenna Kutcher. I'm not sure if you guys know who she is, but she's a huge influencer and she's the brand ambassador for Aerie. And so she had commented, I took a screenshot of how my content looked and how I wanted it to look. And she commented on it, and I was so excited because, here I am and, I feel like from a small town, and somebody who is a huge influencer commented on it. And she had basically gave me some really great tips on ways to make it look clean. That was my biggest thing, is I wanted it to look clean. So when it comes to social media, you need to really think, when it comes to a business, what are you trying to show people? What are you selling, right? And I really believe wholeheartedly in selling emotion, right? We're all emotional human beings. And so if you can connect with your clients or your customers on more of an emotional level, and it has more intention behind it, you will build a relationship with that customer that will last a lifetime. So that is, I think, a really big thing that, if you're looking to start a business someday, to focus on is focusing on the emotion when you are posting, and what you're trying to showcase is huge.
knowing that your customers are repeat customers, and you need to build relationships with them, what other tools and such do you use to maintain those relationships, to turn them into repeat customers and keep them coming back?
So, good old fashioned techniques that is not something new I've ever created. It is something that works. Is it's, social media is great. It's a good tool to use, but there's so many other good things to creating a long-lasting relationship with your clients. And the biggest ones, I think, for us that I really promote with my employees to make sure that they're doing to get their clients coming back is sending them a thank you note after they come in, right? Like, how good does it feel to just get good old fashioned snail mail and see that in the mail, like, oh, they liked that I was there. It has a lot more heart in it when you get that piece of mail, saying that they, love talking to you. It was great seeing you, can't wait till our next appointment, yada, yada. So that is a big one. Scheduling them before they leave is a huge, huge thing in our industry. If you're not snagging them before they walk out the door, chances are they're going to forget and be like, oh, shoot, I need to go in again. But I'll call another time. Where if they have that continued appointment, they will keep coming back. So thank you notes are a big one. Referral programs are huge. Giving your clients a nice thank you of like, hey, I like you as a client. You're fun to be around. I love doing your hair. And if you know that they are genuinely like a cool person to hang out with, which means they probably have a lot of cool friends that you want to hang out with. And so capitalizing on that and asking them for the referral, saying, hey, you know what? I'm growing my business and I'd love your help. People want to help, and so I think we're always too afraid to say, hey, can you help me? But do it, and they will. They'll be like, yeah, I love hanging out with you, and I love the way you do my hair. And oftentimes, they don't even know you're growing your clientele or your customer base, but because they don't see what's in front of them. They don't see you day to day. They're only seeing what's right there. And so asking for that referral is huge in our industry.
Got it. What traditional marketing tools do you use beyond what you've talked about already?
Yeah, so being like newspaper, TV, like that kind of thing, is that what you're referencing?
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else that you haven't alluded to, but what other ways do you get your brand out?
So we did TV when I first bought the salons, and it is so expensive, and that is like the probably biggest downside is that expense is TV. And so although I think it brought in some clients, to be honest, it's really social media is probably the only way we really use that I will pay for ads or do things like that. And it's free, so that's great. But newspaper, no. Like, does a newspaper even exist anymore? I don't know. And I think radio is kind of like a dying thing a little bit too, unfortunately. I think that, Pandora and Spotify and like things like that, people are going towards. So unless you can get on a platform like that, the next thing that I'm looking at doing for my personal brand, not necessarily Salon Elan, but my personal brand that I have, which is I teach classes and I want to, meet up with more hairstylists and build that part of my personal brand, is creating a podcast. That's free, right? And it's another great avenue to getting your name out there and getting people to follow you and, connect with them. So I really don't use any other traditional ways. Like they're having a newspaper, Best of the Valley for Fox Valley. Currently, they just started it today. And, we haven't even entered into anything like that lately because of newspapers. Like, unless they're going to promote it on social media, which they usually do because they've had to go that route too, that we might enter into something like that. But otherwise, anything traditional, phone books, like I don't even think they exist, so I don't advertise in that. I don't advertise in newspapers. I don't do really commercials anymore. I would say I create more video content for social media than promote that is probably the biggest way.
Speaking of video content and generating content, what advice can you give the students on creating authentic content and content that resonates with their customers?
Yeah, I definitely would have to say what I said before is huge about like knowing knowing your why, really digging deep into you, what drives your business and what drives you, so that you can get really crystal clear on who your audience is and what they like, what they are interested in, and building that connection, because it should be something you are interested in, or your company will probably flatline if you don't have the passion and drive for it, because your clients are not going to either. So I think building that connection with them and scheduling your posts so that you're sharing not only what you're selling, right? Like, I'm selling makeup, I'm selling hair products, but that means nothing to people. What they want to know is, what is it going to do for them? How is it going to make them feel when they use it? Or if you have a company where, it's snowboarding, what is it going to do if they buy that brand new snowboard that is so awesome? Why would somebody want to buy it? Is it because it's new? Not necessarily, but it better look freaking cool if you're trying to attract to that, or it better be making you do some kind of new thing. So it's got to be something that you connect with your clients on, that it's going to do for them emotionally. And then, I think it's also sharing some of your personal life. We want to feel connected to people and know people more than just what they're selling, because nobody wants to be sold to. It's selling more of a feeling versus that salesy pitch that you're sending out.
One of the things that we've talked to a lot of other entrepreneurs about, and we've talked about it in this class as well, is is identifying who your customer persona is and knowing who that target customer is. I'm guessing you have one as well?
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of part of your why is, that goes together so strong together, is who's your target market, right? For me, in my personal brand in the salon, I am trying to attract people who want to take care of themselves, who like to, feel good, who want to feel inspired, my stylists who want to be educated, who see the value in continuing education, who have more of a really genuine, heartfelt connection. Those are the people I'm trying to attract. I would say demographically, women, if I had to really get specific, women, I would say, 18 to 45 is our sweet spot. Our older age is going to be the ones who continually come in for more regular appointments because A, they can afford it, and B, they're probably starting to get gray hair, so they are going to be your continuing clients who come in on a regular basis. High schoolers or kids are going to be maybe twice a year, coming in here and there, but I would say middle section is the sweet spot.
Cool, thank you. So, I don't know how much time you have.
I have time. I'm good because I meetings the rest of the day, so it's all good.
Okay, cool. So, what advice do you have to somebody who's starting their own business, like these guys are?
To really, I think to dig deep inside of yourself, like, look at the intention behind why you want to start your business. How are you going to feel when you get to that point, and what is motivating that? Really getting crystal clear on that, I think, is huge. I think sometimes I don't think at my age, like what they were at their age, I don't think I knew what that meant until I got older. And so I just always knew I wanted to own my own business, but I didn't know truly what that meant. And it's taken owning a business that I've learned so much about myself, and I wouldn't be where I am today. I would have never thought I would be where I am today. But I had to get stronger and having courage to take criticism and to not be defensive. I think that as an entrepreneur, we want to think we can do it all right, and we can't. So tackling that perfectionism, it'll never be perfect, but as long as you're trying every single day. And people will ask me all the time, like, I don't know how you do it all. Like, I have 3 little kids, 2 businesses, my personal brand. I donate my time to trying to build stuff in the community, things like that. And, time is something that everybody has. It just depends on what you're using it for. So I think that anything's possible as long as you are working at it consistently. And you might get discouraged and think like, oh, one person gave me one negative feedback and that's what you're focusing on, but you're not focusing on the 1,000 that are giving you the positive feedback and rooting you on. So to try not to focus on the negative so much and look at all the positive and use that perspective as much as you can, because it's going to get hard. And there's definitely days that I'm like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this, but I have faith, and I think that I've learned a lot, and my faith personally with God, like, I can do it, and there's nothing that I can't do, really, as long as I'm working at it. And I think my values have shaped who I am, and I didn't know what my values are, and you guys might be sitting there thinking, I have no idea what she's talking about, and I'm just not really sure, but your values are going to guide you. So look up some values and what resonates with you inside. My biggest 3 and the hardest for me to live by, because they're a challenge, is communication, honesty, and respect. Those 3 are really important to me, and one that I have to work at, and one that I have to live in all the time.
Awesome. Do you guys have any questions for me? Do you have any questions? One thing I forgot to ask you, you said a while you hired somebody to handle your social media for you.
So
tell me about that.
Yeah, so that just happened in the last year and a half, because although I can do it, it's not my strength. Like, it's not my A game. My A game is behind the chair, like killing it, doing hair. It is not my A game to be working on organizing content. And I can recognize that. And then I can literally put my ego aside and realize that that's just not my strength. And so I know that if I can hire somebody, financially got to a point where I could hire somebody, like when I wasn't able to pay for it, yeah, I can do it on my own and get to that point. So once I was making more money and knew that if I'm working behind the chair or a full day of working behind the chair, that could pay for somebody to do it for me for the whole month, well, that's what I wanted to invest in. So I hired somebody, and she and I have been learning a lot from each other. I am not an organizer personality type. I'm more of an organized chaos, and she is truly that organized personality type where she can lay out a month of content. And to me, I'm just like, I'll just give you the content and you just make it organized, because that's just not my strength. So she does that for me. She does videos for me, and she takes pictures. She handles my website. I still know the overall vision that I want, so she does that all based on what direction I'm giving her. But it's been really helpful. I've been able to promote and give out a lot of free content for hairstylists and for customers, and be able to take kind of my personal business, my personal brand, to a different level and make it all really look cohesive and organized. So that has been super helpful. I know I wanted to tell you.
Last question for you. Lost you again. What'd you say?
I know there was one thing I wanted to tell you guys, or talk about was, all of you, I'm sure, realized the other day, social media was taking a vacation. And I don't know if it was Wednesday, and it wasn't working. And I feel like it was interesting to see some of the people that I work with who are younger generations than myself, who were like, I don't even know how I'm going to function. What if social media is not around? So if you're an entrepreneur and someday, let's say you don't have social media, right? You're going to have to be strategic about how are you going to reach your clients and your customers. Well, I do have to tell you that one of the biggest way and the most genuine ways to ever have a client-customer relationship is good old face-to-face. And it's going to take going out and meeting people on a regular basis and getting involved in other things besides sitting behind the computer, or sitting behind your phone. It's going to take going out and joining maybe some classes and marketing yourself, joining a charity, a group in order to meet people, going to a coffee shop, asking a potential client, hey, you know what, do you want to go get coffee with me? They might be a good lead for you in the future. And that old-fashioned way of meeting people face-to-face is going to be the most genuine and the longest sustainable relationship with clients or customers, for sure.
Awesome. Agreed. 100%. I remember a while ago you posted something about not being afraid to charge what you're worth with your pricing or something like that. Can you talk a little bit about your strategy behind your pricing?
Yeah, so I think that it was funny that actually put a lot of like ripples into people's like day. Like it was interesting in a good way and a bad way. Like some of my clients, when they would read it, they're like, oh my God, you're going to charge me so much now and I'm not going to be able to afford it. And I'm like, no. Like the message is really that although I believe in charging what you're worth, and I still don't believe in gouging people. Okay. And so I believe that when I say charging your worth, it means your self-worth. Okay. It's not devaluing your work or giving deals to every single person that you know because, I want to make them happy. It's knowing that I'm putting out a good product. I am confident in what I do, and having that true self-worth is really charging your worth, knowing that I'm worth it and I believe I do good work. That was kind of the whole premise on charging your worth, because for a long time, I always gave all my friends and family discounts. I gave every client who told me that they had some hardship, I would do it was called the $5 discount walk. I would walk up to the front desk and they just told me their life story. Maybe they were sick. They couldn't afford to pay their mortgage. They had an uncle who just died. Whatever it was, I had such like empathy for them and sympathy for them that I would walk to the front desk and I would be like, I should give them a deal today to help them out. But what really ended up happening was I just felt like crap after, because I was devaluing the work I was putting out because I knew it looked good. And I didn't need to do that for them, but it was something I just felt like internally I needed to do for them, where they never asked me to. And so I know I needed to work on my insides, and knowing that I was great at what I was doing, I had confidence, and I was putting out some great work for them, to know that I could charge it and that I could still care about them, but I didn't need to devalue my service to do that.
And did that change any actions from any repeat customers? Did you lose any business because of that?
Yeah, I had to send out a really, really nice, kind email, text message to a lot of my family members. That was probably the hardest, because they got so used to getting their hair done for such a cheap price. So even if you own a storefront and you have clothes you're selling or whatnot, it would be me like selling it to them for what it costed me, which means I'm not making any money, right? And so I didn't like what I was doing anymore when it came to doing their hair, because I was like, this stinks. I'm already charging less. I don't want to spend the time doing it. I was cutting corners, which made me in the end feel like more crud. And so I had to send out an email and text message to all my family just saying, you know what? It's not your fault that I have given you a discount this whole time, that it was my own thing, and that I understand and respect your budget. And whatever you decide to do, I still care about you, but I will no longer be doing it at that much of a steep discount rate, but I will give you a 10% off for families. I wasn't going to slice it in half anymore, but I'll give you 10% off. So I still cared about them enough to give them a discount. And so, yeah, I had some people who really, like some of my family members who really took it to heart, which was hard. But I just was like, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me, that it was what I needed to do to grow myself, that I had to stand by those boundaries. And it was for my own sanity. And so I did lose people. I lost some clients. And to be honest, I had to grow the perspective of, I will not be held hostage by clients or customers. I care about them, but I will not sit in this space. I want to continue to grow. And whether that means them growing with me or they don't, I know I have faith that I will find more new clients that see the value in me and see the value in the service that I'm providing them. And that's truly what happened. I did lose people, but I gained a lot of people, and it has turned out for the better. And I can tell you that my business, after making that adjustment, I work less because I'm making more money, and B, we financially have made a lot more money because I'm charging what I actually should be charging. So yeah.
That covers a lot of what we wanted to talk about. Anything else you want to cover here? Otherwise, I think we're in good shape. This is awesome.
No, I just like the kid that's tickling the girl's arm because that reminds me of when I was a kid. So
that was you and Mackenzie.
True. I was texting her this morning about Mumford and Sons, so there's that.
Yeah, that was you and Mackenzie. I won't tell them all the horrible things you did in class.
Hey, you know what? You live and you learn, so whatever.
What? One of my students' projects, one of the girls' projects is they're creating a sports bra that is made out of bamboo fabric.
Okay.
So it's a more wicking fabric, and they're specifically hoping that it will eliminate chest or back acne.
Oh.
As a female, is that something you could relate to as a product? So they're looking for a little feedback there.
Well, I would say no for me, but I've never had back acne. So if I had, maybe. So I would just not be your client or customer, really.
Okay, fair enough. There you go, Serena. All right, anything else, guys? So, thank you very much, Jessica. It's wonderful to see you again. I'm so proud that you are doing well as a business owner and have grown into the person you were supposed to become, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And you know what? You were a big motivator to me when I was going through your classes. Some of my favorite, and I even tell my kids to this day, you know, like that was something that I genuinely was interested in, and probably one of my favorite classes because it was what gave me passion. So, you know, I know in high school you get to sign up for different classes, and I can tell you that, you know, pick classes that truly like interest you or potentially interest you, because that will guide you when you get out of school. And I am all about like any work release programs or internships or apprenticeships that you guys can take. Is the best way to figure out what you want to do when you get older is to live in it, do it for a day, shadow somebody, ask somebody, because then you can see what your life will look like out of school. Because right now, like, it's such a small percentage of your life, and it might feel like the biggest part, but it's the smallest, but the most important. So pay attention to what you like and what you don't like, and try to shadow as much as you can all different professions, because that'll guide you to figure out what you like.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you. It's good seeing you. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
You too.